Passion public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something.
So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for passion, no last necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA Podcast.
Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionate newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to another episode, why am I so close to the screen? Of the Passion PSA Podcast, where I, Passion No Last Necessary, your Get You Right Guru, issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I've observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, for yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I will never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. The same way I won't sugarcoat the truth to make it more palatable. The goal is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking so that you can operate as your highest and best self. If you're new here, affirmations are our first order of business so that we can intentionally raise the vibration and start on one accord. Let's get on the same frequency. If you're ready, go ahead and take a deep breath. You're always welcome to repeat after me or use this time to state your own affirmations. I am open to love. I am ready to love. I am ready to be loved. I state my needs clearly. I state my needs concisely. I am understood. My needs are honored. My needs are respected. My needs are met. I am grateful. I am well. It is well. All is well. Well is all. Ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay, Passionates, part 4. Last episode, I told you that I thought this was only a 3-part series, but while I was in the editing process of installment 3, I started thinking about a Passion PSA that I had put up on Instagram where I said, stop loving people in your love language. We're going to dissect that today because it feeds right into and is the perfect closing for this series. If you are behind on episodes, which you shouldn't be because I'm behind on episodes, the series started with season 6.5 finale, which was a listener letter asking why it's so hard to let go of the love you need to release. I'm putting a bookmark right here because I'm going to fill you in later in the episode, okay? Part 2, are you okay with being someone's lesson? Most of us aren't because our egos really have us gassed up. The question is twofold. Are you good with being someone's trial period, meaning where they failed with you, they figured out how to be greater later, and took all that finished product to share it with someone else? And while you're sulking about not being able to cash in on your hard work, do you realize that you learned and grew and became greater later on someone else's watch, and they too didn't get to capitalize on it? Are you okay with that? Probably yes, because you may have been now years old when you became aware of it. Part 3, we talked about being your ex's dream to your new partner. We're your dream girls, boy, we'll make you happy, yeah. All that work and becoming that you did in the last relationship, you brought it to the new relationship, and while your ex is seething, because you're finally doing and being all that they wanted, hoped for, needed for, and waited for you to be. Now you're that person to someone who may or may not be looking for any of that. You're trying to fix what was broken in the last relationship in a relationship where it doesn't need to be repaired. So the point there was to stop walking or driving forward while looking backward. Okay, now you're all up to speed. Why are we ending on this note? A lot of us, and dare I say most of us, have heard of the 5 love languages. We got the Cliff Note version and we ran with it. Now, my sis told me about it years ago. I never prioritized obtaining or reading it. Neither did a lot of people. But we have aligned ourselves with the love languages list and decided we know what we need to feel loved. The disconnect for many is the differentiation between giving and receiving. Now, disclaimer, moment of honesty. I didn't actually consume the book, and I say consume because I listened to an audio version as opposed to reading it in the interest of time. Okay, I didn't consume it until the Friday or Saturday before I started editing this particular episode, and I finished a day or two later. I wanted to make sure that I knew definitively what the 5 love languages are, how you're able to establish which is yours. And in the process, I found out that Dr. Chapman had actually spoken about loving in your love language versus theirs, right? I decided not to abandon the episode because, for one, many like myself haven't read the book. And 2, because expressions of love or the misinterpretations of those expressions often are how we end up at the breakup or why we can't let go. This same theory applies to how you end up being a dream come true for somebody you're no longer with while in a whole new relationship. Now that you're out of the previous relationship, you finally understand what they needed and wanted, finally understand doing those things would have been the equivalent of saying, I love you. And now that you finally learned Russian, you want to speak it to someone who speaks Hindi. It is imperative that we know what it is we need to feel and to be loved. It is imperative that we know what it is that we do to show love. And it is critical to know that what you do to show love is not necessarily how someone else receives love. So you have to stop loving people in your love language. For those of you who don't know what the 5 love languages, as established by Dr. Gary Chapman, are, they are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts. How do you know what your love language is? Well, in a nutshell, the things you complain about not getting enough of or the places that you feel unfulfilled, those are the easiest indicators. If you thrive on encouragement and compliments, it's probably words of affirmation. If you could care less about how much money is being spent, if y'all can't sit down and talk and really engage one-on-one, it's probably quality time. A lot of people struggled during the scamdemic because people were separated for so long. We could talk, we could video chat, but being in the same room was a potential health hazard. A lot of people learned at that time physical touch is their primary love language. Now, let me stop right there to acknowledge that it is possible to have multiple love languages. According to Dr. Chapman, though, there's usually one that trumps the others, and that one is your primary. Be advised. Physical touch is not limited to sex. Dr. Chapman spoke a lot about that in the book because an overwhelming number of men in particular say that physical touch is their primary love language. Now, this episode is not intended to be a book report, so I'm not going to go into the specifics, okay? But he did talk about the science of sexual desire in men versus women and a whole host of other things that contribute to so many men thinking their primary love language is touch when it, in fact, isn't. Anyway. Acts of service had me a little confused initially, but if you feel like your love centers light up when your partner does helpful deeds like contributing to the housework, especially without prompting, acts of service is your love language. Gifts, kind of self-explanatory. If you feel most loved when you get gifts or some type of physical representation of your partner's feelings for you, receiving gifts is your love language. Now that we have a basic idea of the 5 love languages, we can look within and figure out what our love language is as the receiver. Often, how we receive love is how we then offer love, right? And this is where we can run into trouble. I know someone who is always encouraging, always affirming, always speaking love and life to their partner will represent them with monkey and their partner with lying. In speaking to monkey and being able to observe and study them, I see that they light up when they tell stories where they are in some way the hero, right? If they helped someone, if someone praised them for a job well done, it's almost like you can hear the adrenaline rush for them. Words of affirmation is how monkey receives love. So monkey gives them to lion in abundance, but lion is an acts of service type. You said you were going to do this, so do it. No argument, no attitude, but at the same time, while you're doing all these other things to demonstrate your love, can you do the thing I'm waiting for you to do? That's what'll make lion feel loved. Lion needs to feel like lion can count on monkey to do what monkey says. That in turn will make lion feel more comfortable to lean on monkey, resulting in lion offering monkey more praise and words of affirmation, which is what monkey is thirsting for. Make sense? Now, I believe some of the confusion lies in the effort to teach people how to love you. Sometimes you can't just tell a person what you need, you have to show them. This is 100% true. But be careful not to get so caught up showing your partner what you need to be and to feel loved that you turn blind eyes to what they're showing or telling you they need. Consider this as well, okay? We're going to go back to Monkey's words of affirmations. Not only is Lion unmoved by the constant positive reinforcement, Lion is now in an awkward place because how do you respond to someone telling you something meant as a compliment when it's losing its value because you're always hearing it? And then because more of us are stagnated almost to the point of paralysis, right, by our conditioning, we hear these words of affirmation and feel obligated to respond. You ever have someone tell you you look great, and when you said thank you, they were still looking at you like they were waiting for their turn to be complimented? Has that ever happened to you with someone you not only thought didn't look great, you actually thought they looked hit? Imagine someone telling you constantly that you're doing a great job, that they think the world of you, and if they could give you a report card, you'd get straight A's. But if you had to tell them honestly how you feel, if you had to give them a report card, at best, they'd probably get a C+, and that's if you were grading on a curve. It might not feel so great to you, and it would probably be devastating to them. But responding in kind for the sake of convention is insincere and inorganic. It's performative and can become robotic.
Well, Passion, isn't that the same thing if, like, their love language is receiving gifts and you're not into wasting money? I know I would feel like a phony if I was buying stuff but secretly begrudging the money that I spent.
Reasonable. And you also wouldn't buy flowers or trinkets every day. It would be unnecessary. And that's the point. Doing anything excessively loses its value.
Okay, what about if you show love through acts of service, but you actually don't even need acts of service in return?
To that specific display of love, most people appreciate when the people around them pick up slack and carry their weight. So contributing to household upkeep or repetitive and or cumbersome chores and responsibility has high value, but it has different value for someone for whom that's their love language versus for someone for whom it's not. If acts of service is how they feel loved, you not performing those acts can make them feel slighted and neglected. On the other hand, if it's not their love language, if you're not performing those acts, they may or may not feel a way about it, but it would probably have significantly lesser impact than you not fulfilling their need in their actual love language.
Okay, Passion, I could dig it, but if I'm loving you, you saying it doesn't count if I'm not loving you the way you want? Like, isn't that kind of selfish?
Okay, remember back in season 1, in the finale, we talked about overpromising and under-delivering, right? You remember I was working with somebody and I was paying them to provide service A. They did not provide service A, but expected me to be excited and grateful for what they did do. Giving me what you gave, if it isn't what I need, isn't satisfying at all. You love me, so you take me out to dinner. You buy me flowers at dinner. You compliment me all throughout dinner. You just love me in 4 languages, right? But I needed you to take the garbage out, fix the closet door, and take my car to get it serviced. You loved me in every language except mine. Then you gaslit me by saying, for all you did, I should be grateful. But if I would have been happy with buttered spaghetti and whatever is on TV, as long as these other things got done, if your goal is to see me happy, then you should do what makes me happy. This is what we're talking about in that last installment, right? You're doing something that makes someone else happy in an effort to satisfy my needs. I appreciate what you did, but I'm not satisfied because my needs remain unmet.
Yeah, but I did something nice for you. Why doesn't that count? Like, how was that not selfish? I ain't have to do anything.
It's not that it doesn't count. You didn't. You could have done nothing. You are absolutely right. But how is it not selfish of you to give me everything but what I'm asking for? How is that not self-serving? The goal in a partnership is for both partners to have input, reach a medium, a common ground, a place of agreement, and then they can go forward. It is not for one person, partner A, to try to impress upon the other, partner B, how B should be loved because this is how A feels loved. It is not for partner A to try to get partner B to accept what partner A is giving because it's easier. I would much rather buy a bottle of cologne than cook a complicated meal that I don't know how or I'm not in the mood to make. But if I keep doing what's easier and what I like, my partner is going to end up with a collection of things reminding him that what he's asking for is more than I'm willing to give. Willingness to give. Let's enter that space. If for whatever reason, loving in their love language is a deal breaker, you need to break out instead of trying to break them down. It wouldn't hurt to establish why it's a deal breaker, though. Like, if it's a deal breaker because it's a trigger, there's always therapy. And that therapy is not about this relationship in particular. If your partner's ask is a trigger, the partner isn't the issue. The trigger is. Whether you remain in this relationship or not, that trigger will be pulled again. Better to get control of the situation than to be controlled by the situation.
How do you love them in their love language when you're not sure if you still love them at all? Or what about if you hate them?
Have there been cases where the relationship was salvageable? Yes. What did it take? Read the book or listen to the audiobook. We working on fixing it before you get to hate. Okay? If you already there, you may need some of that same therapy that we just talked about, and I am not certified for that, but I'm working on it. Don't worry.
Okay, Passion, I got a question. What if their language is receiving gifts, but they're never satisfied with what you give them? You're loving them in their language, and it's still a problem.
Dominican Spanish and Panamanian Spanish aren't the same. It's the same language, different dialects. Y'all communicating correctly, but something is getting lost in translation. So you have to identify what is being misunderstood. A overstands this statement to mean this. B overstands the same statement to mean that. A and B need to have a conversation so that when A wants to communicate this, A says it in a way that it means this to B. More to the specific question, here's an example, right? We're going to use friends this time. We're going to bring back Brown Bear and White Bear. Brown Bear loves receiving gifts and their birthday's coming up. White Bear knows this and asks Brown Bear what Brown Bear wants. Brown Bear doesn't really have anything reasonable in mind, but Brown Bear knows no matter what they get, they don't want any t-shirts. So they say, White Bear, whatever you get me, please don't get me any t-shirts. White Bear gets Brown Bear a t-shirt. Now, White Bear's of the mind, if somebody gives you something, regardless of what it is, you should keep it, even if you don't like it, because they took the time to find and purchase that item. They took time to think about you, and you not accepting it is like the time and the energy that they put in. It doesn't matter. Brown Bear's love language is receiving gifts. True. But Brown Bear specifically said, please don't give me that. So while White Bear would feel like it's a slap in the face for Brown Bear not to accept the shirt, Brown Bear's displeasure with the shirt is not an indictment on White Bear's intention to give a gift, but it does call to question why White Bear would get Brown Bear something that they absolutely didn't want. Brown Bear basically said, if you're going to go out of your way for me, please go out of your way in this direction. Don't go in that direction, because you're going to go out of your way to do something I don't like, I don't want. And then you're going to feel away because I don't appreciate what I didn't want. Imagine you telling somebody they're ungrateful because you did something they didn't want you to do. And they told you that before you did it. Imagine that. All right, y'all. Let's tie this all up and get out of here. 1. What is their love language? Acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch. If you don't know and you don't want to ask, think about what worked really well at the beginning of the relationship. And if you're at the beginning now, think about what really lights them up. When do you see the twinkle in their eye? When you get up and clean the house without them asking, or when you sit down and spend time with them one-on-one? When you're making physical contact, when you give them compliments, praise, or encouragement, or when you give them tangible gifts? Now, if they all over the place and it seems like any one of them could be their love language, that's probably true. But there's usually one that's more important than all the others. Nothing wrong with y'all doing a quiz together to confirm it. Or y'all could listen to or read the book together. Or just ask. And maybe even still do the quiz. You might be surprised to find out that what you think is your love language actually isn't. And that's another reason for conflict. I'm telling you, my love language is this because I really like this thing, but my behaviors say it's really that. Now, you should have been writing this whole episode, but if this is the first time you're picking up your pen, write this down. Be patient with your partner. Sometimes they don't know themselves as well as they think they do. It is very hard to answer something about yourself you've never given much or deep thought to. Number 2, now that you've confirmed you know their love language, ask yourself and ask them, have you been loving them in their love language or yours? And remember that if you're loving them in your love language, you're pretty much just doing busy work.
Busy work?
You were doing something to appear and probably even felt like you were working hard, giving love in an unfulfilling way, but you weren't actually working on what needed repair, learning and loving in their love language. Loving someone else in your love language is self-serving because you're very possibly only making you happy. Number 3, is their love language more than you're willing to give? Is it a deal breaker for you? Is it a trigger for you? If it is, but you want to stay, you got to find the happy medium or the happy therapist to help you unpack what's keeping you from action. You love, appreciate, and think very highly of them, but you don't want to be inauthentic. Again, it's free to ask, what else can I do for you to let you know that I love you? All that I already do is in an effort to show you I love you, and I feel like you're saying it isn't enough. This takes us right into number 4. Listen to what your partner is telling you isn't enough and isn't satisfying or isn't fulfilling are different things. And the bottom line is this. You really don't have to do a lot if you're doing what they really need. I'm going to leave you with this, Passionates, okay? Just because y'all love each other doesn't mean you're a good fit for each other. Just because you hate each other now doesn't mean it can't be repaired. Just because you're moving steady as is doesn't mean a check-in isn't beneficial. Relationships are a labor of love. The work has to be done. Staying together and being together happily are not the same. The goal is being together in a healthy and happy way. Self-assess like we talked about at the beginning of this series. Figure out your love language. Identify your partners. If the relationship doesn't work out, remember that we're all learning and growing in each of these relationships, right? They might move on and get everything right in the next relationship, or it might just appear that way because they're doing all the things you wanted, and now their new partner is suffering for them being everything you desired. Either way, we're all someone's lesson and we're all here to learn. That said, I am ending this series. I hope it was good for you and that you got everything you needed from it. Gala updates. Ticket sales have begun. Ticket link is below. Donation link is below. Special thanks and special shout out to Sammy, one of our faithful passionates, for this beautiful landing page on my website, whatonewomandoes.com. Sammy, make sure you leave a comment so people who want to contract you for site building or maintenance can reach out to you. Set your price and stick to it because you're absolutely worth it. If y'all plan to enlist her services, her price is her price as yours would be. Honor it. And if you want to negotiate to pay more. She didn't ask for this promotion, but she's getting it because I feel like she deserves it. Okay, back to the tickets. If you're planning on getting VIP, very important, getting very important, passionate tickets, there's only a certain number, so do not wait. If you do not like to read, very appreciated passionate is a table purchase, right? So you and 7 friends, doesn't have to be 7, it could be you and one other person, but the table cost buys all the seats at that table. You can seat people however you choose at that point. Point is, the table seats 8, round up your friends who want to do VIP and get your table so y'all get the most value. Y'all get the best value. Y'all, I'm struggling to get these words out, okay? The most important announcement, ticket sales close November 1st. Why? We want to ensure everything is situated so that we can focus on the logistics. We have to have a confirmed head count for food and other expenses. So we simply cannot be selling tickets November 21st. Okay. Again, this event is open to the public, so please don't wait thinking tickets will still be available. I promise they won't be. Lastly, we are still seeking sponsors and volunteers for the event. The volunteer link is also below, including the requisites. If you have financial hardship and you want to attend, that's a great way to get in the door. But don't do it to yourself if you come in thinking that you're going to chill and not work, okay? Because you're going to get your feelings hurt. Hello, have we met? Safe space, not delicate. Amen, saints. I think that's it. I got to go to work and I got to get to the next episode. So, no, that's not it. Bree, y'all know her. She's my point person in everything, and this is no exception. If you have questions or you need assistance with anything related to the gala, email your questions to letmeaskbree@gmail.com. Let me ask Bree, because Passion is over there trying to be 90 people as per usual. Let me ask Bree@gmail.com. I hope that's it, because if it's not, it's too bad. I'll tell you in the next episode. You Get You Right Guru is signing off. Y'all go forth. Be great. Be filled with bliss. Be armed and empowered with knowledge. Be loved. And be loving in the language best inner over and understood. And in all things, be passionate. See you later.